Well, what I want to start doing here with this weather segment here on YouTube is talk more about the next 10 days and then break that 10-day down to the next 6 days, so day by day here in a second. I just want a side note, we're watching the flooding threat, as you see, overnight tonight, out in the shoals through the morning commute tomorrow. Some areas could get over 2 inches of rain, and you can't really take much more there. Severe weather threats gone for the rest of the night. Now let's break this down day by day, beginning with your 10-day forecast. And by the way, now's the time to subscribe to my channel. I want to thank over 7,000 of you for subscribing, because I post this first on YouTube, and then I post it on Facebook a little bit later in the evening. But again, we're going to start breaking this 10-day down a little bit more. The struggle we're having now is Saturday. When's the rain going to get out of here? And right now it looks like early afternoon, but if it gets out sooner, that'll be good. But your Easter egg hunt plans for Saturday morning right now look wet. Sunday looks great, and check out next week. That is a very nice, very rare stretch of weather for April. So the rain continues tomorrow off and on by the afternoon, and some areas in northeast Alabama may not get the rain until Thursday night into Friday, but Friday's looking pretty wet Friday into Saturday morning. So here's where we go day by day, and I'm going to start with the graph model. It's a high resolution model. Then I'm going to go to the European model for about 3 days down the road, the GFS model, as we get farther down. So what you'll see here is the resolution get broader and broader, so the details not as well defined. So here's a look at Thursday morning. We've got a stalled out frontal boundary all the way from the Ohio Valley near Memphis and down here towards Houston. This is slowly going to move to the east. In fact, the high pressure is going to push it, basically orientate it this way as high pressure moves in from the north. So another impulse coming in from the west is going to bring the rain right back in as we go into the day on Friday. So as you see, we start tomorrow morning cooler, say in Memphis and Huntsville, but a little warmer still in far northeast Alabama. In fact, we don't have a whole lot of rain going on in northeast Alabama at this time. So again, still fairly dry there. As we continue on, the graph model keeps it very dry in many areas tomorrow. Warms us back to 75 in Huntsville. I think it's probably a little bit off. So if anything goes wrong with the official forecast, it's the fact the graph model's off. I actually have more rain in our forecast for the day tomorrow. As we look down to the south along the coast, New Orleans about 78, Oklahoma City cooler, and man, the place to be is down in Florida. That's where all the warm, muggy air is. In fact, they're going to hit the low 90s tomorrow in Tampa. By 4 o'clock, we still have more rain spreading in from the west, and here's kind of a look at 6 o'clock in the morning Friday. The boundary hasn't moved much, so we've got rain from Charlotte over towards Atlanta. I'm going to have to adjust my towns on here. When I switch the map around, the town names kind of move, so I'll have to figure that out. But anyway, 49 over here Friday morning in Memphis. That's farther north there. As I kind of reset the view here, bring it back out, probably change my angle. That's where those towns are kind of fluctuating a bit. I probably need to have it follow the camera, so to speak. But here's the noon hour, anyway, Friday. You can see that we have more rain moving into the Huntsville area, down to Jackson, New Orleans seeing more rain, Houston seeing more rain. And the trend is going to be for this rain to drop to the south into Saturday. So if you have Gulf Coast plans, Orange Beach, maybe even Tallahassee, it's looking really, really wet Saturday and probably early Sunday as well. So here we are at 5 o'clock Friday. Getting ready for the weekend. It's 56 in Huntsville. It's 80 degrees in Montgomery, but 53 in Atlanta. Now, there's something interesting going on over towards Atlanta and Charlotte, and it's called the wedge, basically the backdoor front. What's happening is there's an area of high pressure coming in over here. So basically, I'll put the H there, and this wind is coming off the Atlantic, and it's a colder wind, so this creates what's called cold air damming, and that's what makes the forecast a little tricky, because our temperatures can get quite a bit cooler, especially in northeast Alabama, when this happens. So to kind of wipe that out, let's get on into Saturday. Switching models now, we're at the Euro model. The European model kind of has that rain still situated, but you know, kind of see the wedge here. Atlanta, Charlotte, and again that wind more out of the east here. This is what makes the forecast really tough for Saturday. The European model says the rain's going to be south of here, but sometimes that cold air damming, that wedge that comes in, can create some of this drizzle and light rain across the area. So we'll have to watch this trend, and I say that a lot. We're watching the trend. But look at New Orleans. They're just covered with rain south of Montgomery, Selma, Orange Beach, over to Tallahassee. As we continue into Saturday, scattered showers and thunderstorms, 9 a.m., move the clock up to the noon hour. Now, we're still in the 50s here in North Alabama, and that wedge is still very pronounced here with that easterly wind continuing down the back of the Appalachians. But notice the frontal boundary stalling out from Orange Beach to New Orleans. So a very wet start to the weekend down on the Gulf Coast, and this may not change much. In fact, some of the model guidance early next week actually has an area of low pressure down there developing along the stalled frontal boundary. So here's your Saturday in summary. Warmer out to the west, Oklahoma City, Dallas. Houston, not bad, but 69. They'd rather see warmer air this time of year, I'm sure. As we get into Saturday evening, still raining on the Gulf Coast, southeast Georgia. Now they're starting to see some pop-up showers and storms in Florida. I think it's been a while since they've had any significant rain or widespread rain there. And notice our little wedge here is still here. So if you're headed to Charlotte or Atlanta, it's going to be a chilly Easter weekend. Now switching to the GFS model, you can see the wedge is still there. We wake up Sunday morning, so again, this is going to be Easter Sunday. Looks like the rain clears the Orange Beach area. Again, this is kind of a jump ahead, about 6 hours in the model data as well. High pressure really starts to build in all across the southeast, and that is why the air is going to be drier. Some high clouds here, but by the noon hour, still stuck in the 50s. And we'll hit the low 60s. We're forecasting a high of 60 in Huntsville. They'll be around 60 in Atlanta, but the weather Sunday looks really nice. Down on the Gulf Coast, after stormy Friday into Saturday, conditions will improve there. And overall, the weather looks pretty nice on the Gulf Coast early next week. Here's the real influence of that backdoor cold front. 6 o'clock in the morning Monday, much cooler here. Charlotte 39, 45 in Atlanta, but no rain, and this is the beginning of a dry stretch of weather for us. Highs reaching probably the mid-60s at some point Monday afternoon around here, 65 or so. But along the Gulf Coast, really nice weather there. Nice weather developing in Texas. And this area high pressure is going to dominate much of the East Coast on into the Central Plains as we head into the middle of next week. So no signs of frost or freeze. I think you're probably going to be safe to plant, because by this time, I think we're going to be okay. It would take something rather significant to see a big frost or freeze, especially a freeze down here this far south, this late in the season. Typically, it's April 15th, but we're going up to April 12th here, and we're not seeing any signs of it. Warming back up into the 70s Wednesday afternoon next week. Pleasant weather. Golf courses are going to be busy. And notice the rain starting to form here, kind of on the boundary of that area, high pressure, and then maybe low pressure developing at some point in the Gulf on the back of this. Again, this is way out there as far as we get forecasting this time of year. The one consistent thing is high pressure coming in as we begin Sunday, and a real tranquil pattern into next week. Again, I'm going to be doing more and more of this, kind of breaking it down, giving you more reason to come to YouTube and watch this. I can't spend 9 minutes or so on TV talking about this. So again, more information here, and if you guys got any suggestions, go ahead and put them down in the comments section. So from here, I'll have another forecast on WFF 48 News at 10 tonight. We'll talk about a little bit of the damage that came through the area earlier today. And again, very much like a summertime weather pattern, at least the storms today that we had. Thank you again, and don't forget to subscribe.